BBC Radio 5 Live.
Boxing now on BBC One. John Infidel is our man at the ringside.
Well, good evening from the East End of London, and these scenes around me are scenes of chaos and pandemonium, you could say, at the end of Audley Harrison's 11th professional contest. It was his first in what was basically his old manor. In his amateur days, he used to train at the Repton Club just down the road. But after his fight this evening, we've seen the unacceptable face, really, of boxing, and Steve Bunce and Richie Woodall were here to witness it with us. Steve, just out of order.
Yeah, it was a lovely idea on paper. Audley Harrison's there, Frank Bruno's there, Herbie Hyde's there. But there were signs early on this evening it wasn't going to happen. Herbie Hyde had a bit of a run-in earlier on with Frank Bruno. That was ugly. And then when it came to ringside, even though Audley's got fantastic security here, the bottom line is if the people are already ringside, they're between Audley and the people. The security are surrounding them. And I don't think there's anything that could have happened here tonight other than Herbie not coming. But what we saw in the end there, John, was about as bad as I've seen in 18 years at ringside. That was quite despicable, some of that stuff.
I mean, Richie, as a former world champion yourself, have you seen scenes like this?
The only time I have to say was Robert McCracken, Steve Foster fights at the NEC, and that was pretty bad. But it certainly brought back memories. I mean, we were standing here and I had to do the old hop, skip and a jump, and I was flying over chairs. It was like seeing it at a football match, if you like. Totally unacceptable. And I'll tell you what, John, I knew something like this was going to happen. When I knew Herbie Hyde was coming, I thought something's going to start up here. And the way people it's very, very warm in here and tempers are flying. It's a bad night for boxing. Bad night for boxing.
See, the thing is, John, it's a lovely idea, and Don King's been doing it for 25 years. He brings in a rival, and there's a bit of ballyhoo at ringside. Don King never has a row. Now, I don't know whether it's because this ringside area isn't big enough. It's nothing to do with the security. The security here was good security. Audley's people are good people. The bottom line is, this area is too crowded. This interview was happening about 4 foot from Jim Neely, our commentator. You saw me, I'm under the table, I'm on top of the table. I'm 16, 17 stone. I was being thrown around there like a rag doll. That was very unpleasant. I know there's a lot of women got trampled there. One woman in particular, she seemed to go flying after someone's hand came out.
OK, well, look, we'll talk more about the scenes after Audley Harrison's fight and the repercussions, because I'm sure there's going to be a Boxing Board of Control inquiry into all this. Let's actually see the fight, first of all. This is Audley Harrison's 11th professional contest, his first without Colin McMillan as his manager. Audley basically is running the show now for himself, and let's see how he got on.
Just over 2 years after making his professional debut, Audley Harrison comes in at the lightest he's ever been in the paid ranks. 17 stone 9, but he's still well over 2 stones heavier and 5 inches taller than another former ABA champion, the man who was the ABA heavyweight champion way back in 1995, the 29-year-old from Blackpool, Matthew Ellis. Harrison towering over the much smaller Ellis, and that big long southpaw right hand of Harrison is expected once again, Duke McKenzie, to be the most important weapon in the Olympic champion's armory.
Ellis has just landed a right hand of his own right over the top, right on Audley's jaw. He's come to fight, he's kidding, he really has.
Well, Harrison has never had it so tough in the opening 30 seconds. Matthew Ellis, and there was talk about Matthew Ellis having a slight problem with his left shoulder. There was a suspect rotator cuff, and the shorter man has come to fight, and he's landed with another right hand. Or pretty close to it. Big Terry O'Connor from Birmingham breaks him up. And Ellis said that he was coming to take this fight to Audley Harrison. A couple of very interested spectators among the packed throngs here on a hot, sweaty Bethnal Green, or former WBC heavyweight champion of the world, Frank Bruno, former two-time WBO heavyweight champion of the world, Herbie Hyde, who was only a few feet away from ringside. So Ellis, as good as his word, reckons to win this, he's got to get inside Audley Harrison. Harrison, this just the third of a series of 8-rounders. And he's always had, well, not trouble, but a bit of bother with domestic opposition, Audley Harrison. The 3 British fighters he's been in against so far in his short professional career, Mark Prince, Derek McCafferty, and Dominic Negus, have all taken him the respective distances. But you've got to give Harrison a bit of credit, Duke. He seems to have retained that composure.
Well, he weathered that shot that Ellis threw at him, but Ellis nailed him so cleanly with the right hand right over the top. Audley was starting to make a very cautious start of just trying to flick out the jab, but Ellis came right at him. I thought that the weight deficit might tell, and it probably will as the rounds go on, but Ellis has made a really good start.
Bit of banging of heads there, Ellis coming straight through. Terry O'Connor's let that go. 30 seconds to go to the end of the first. Ellis looking grimly determined. There's that big left of Harrison. Didn't even bother to throw the southpaw right. A couple of good jabs by Harrison. Ellis has to try them. Ellis has always had fast hands, giving away 30 pounds to Harrison and nearly 6 inches in height. And Ellis has made a pretty good start. Just a few seconds remaining. Bit of a graze on the nose of Matthew Ellis. Harrison gives him an old-fashioned look, and that wasn't a bad round for Matthew Ellis. Duke McKenzie.
I'll give the first round to Matthew Ellis just on sheer aggression and determination.
Well, Audley Harrison has made 1 or 2 changes in his management team. He's parted company with Colin McMillan and Kenny Kroom, and in his corner is Thel Torrance, with Harry Holland doing the cuts. Clash of heads. There was that right hand right across, just clipped the jaw of Harrison, and there was only a little wobble, but Harrison was good enough to come straight back. And look at Ellis, he's saying, come on, big fellow, I'm as good as you are. And he's really taken it to Harrison, and Harrison had to hold on.
You've got to keep pushing forward and keep doing what you're doing, because you're doing good. You won that round.
Ronnie Davis leaning in through the ropes. Kevin Sanders in front of Matthew Ellis. 2 pretty experienced men in the corner. So a hot, sticky, steamy Saturday night in the York Hall in Bethnal Green. And Audley Harrison in his 11th professional contest, and against Matthew Ellis in the white trunks trimmed with red in his 22nd. Bit of swelling underneath the left eye of Matthew Ellis. Testimony to the accurate southpaw shots of Audley Harrison, who, having had blue in his hair last time out, has got red in his hair now. Good left hand by Harrison. Ellis in a little bit of trouble. Harrison shoves him away. He's not allowed to do that. Ellis in all sorts of trouble. Left from Harrison was a bit low, but it was a good right. Harrison looking impressive now, chasing Ellis, and Ellis has nowhere to go. Harrison is covered up. Oh, wonderful uppercut from Harrison. Left to follow, and Ellis, who's been stopped twice before, it's now 7. I'm not sure he's going to get up. Yes, he has. Well, he's looked across at the corner. How much has he left? Harrison said he needed to look good. Everybody said he had to look good. Oh, he's got him again. What a great left hand by Harrison. Terry O'Connor won't let this go on. 7, is he going to beat the count this time? Just about. Are you okay? Well, that's a marginal decision. Ellis is not okay. 1 more shot's going to do it. Ellis crumbles. He's got to stop it, surely. He stopped it. Well, whatever you say about Harrison, on this occasion, Duke, he did the business with some very hard punches.
Well, you know, Matthew Ellis got through with a cracking right hand in the first round, and Audley just comes straight back at him in round 2 to silence the critics. You know, Ellis is he is a small heavyweight, but you know, Audley he manhandled him there like he was a rag doll, just pushed him into the corner and wouldn't be denied. Beautiful uppercut to finish the fight, and just threw a cluster of punches to end it all.
But it was the accuracy of Harrison's punches that I think impressed. Not just the power, because of course he's got power, but he picked his shots, Duke.
Picked his shots very, very well. It looks incredibly. It looks like he's in incredibly good shape as well. He's got his weight down, starting to triumph a little bit. You know, I'd like to see him step up in genuine class now. This wasn't a bad fight for him at all. He's looked good. Look, 1 or 2 question marks to be answered though.
Well, Harrison is looking right at some of his detractors. There are 1 or 2, needless to say, at not too far from here, but you cannot deny the manner in which Audley Harrison ended that contest. He got a bit of a scare in the opening round, but once Harrison found the range, there was only going to be one winner. He was just so strong, and Ellis did the right thing trying to get inside. But Harrison, for such a big man with long arms, is very good inside, Duke.
Yeah, he knows how to pull his punches in nice and short and tight. Watch this hand. He just switches over the right hand, so the left hand chops it down the Ellis's jaw. That was a good shot.
That was one of the best left-hand punches that Audley Harrison has thrown in his professional career. Right through once again. Terry O'Connor, I think, was looking to let Matthew Ellis off the hook, and down he went. Harrison caught him just as he was on the way down. Nothing wrong with that. Didn't try to do anything else. And a very good piece of refereeing, but a very impressive piece of punching by Audley Harrison. That was a great finish by Audley Harrison, no doubt about it, Duke.
Yeah, he did do well. He finished the fight in style.
After 1 minute 35 seconds of round 2, the referee has stopped the contest in the interest of Matthew Ellis' own safety. The winner, and still undefeated in 11 contests, Audley A-Force Harrison!
Well, a leaner, meaner, very destructive Audley Harrison. People will say he should have beaten a man who was 2 stone or 30 pounds, but that's heavyweight boxing. We've seen men like Roy Jones win a world title giving away a couple of stones.
Yeah, sure. There was quite a gulf in weight, but also the deciding factor also was the class. There was definitely deciding class between Audley and Matthew Ellis. You know, the shots that he got hit with there, Ellis would have probably put just about anybody down, but we've got some interesting spectators at ringside tonight. We've got Herbie Hyde, who's absolutely banging at the teeth to get at Audley, and Frank Bruno's also in the audience. Let's see what they got to say about this.
Well, a lot of heavyweights see Audley Harrison as the golden goose that might lay them a very nice nest egg or 2. In the meantime, Harrison moves on. It's now 11 contests, 11 wins, 7 inside the distance. He's more importantly disposed of his first British opponent inside the distance, and he did it pretty impressively.
Silence, please. Silence in court. Silence, please, for Audley Harrison.
I think Audley's going to say a word or 2.
Thank you for the fans coming down today. I just want to say I've got a couple of rivals in here. Come to the Audley Harrison show. And I just want to ask the public, if there's a question between Frank Bruno and Herbie Hyde, who do you say I should fight? Frank Bruno or Herbie Hyde?
Well, the former fans' favourite and still very much one of the most respected and loved heavyweights in British boxing. Frank Bruno was in the ring beside Audley Harrison.
Okay. I've got nothing more to say.
Harrison has asked whether the public would like to see him fight Herbie Hyde or Frank Bruno. Maybe he didn't even realise that Frank was there, and there is Frank, sporting a nice tipper and a nice safari suit, and very popular. And we thought Frank Bruno was a big man, and he still is, but Audley Harrison, Duke, is a real lump of a man.
Well, Audley's like in terms of height and size, he's like a super heavyweight. He's a giant of a man, he really is. But you know what? Frank Bruno is still the public's favourite. People would pay absolutely through the tooth and nail to see Bruno against Audley Harrison. It would be, in my opinion, the biggest domestic fight ever. It would be huge.
Well, it's been some 7 years since Frank Bruno was in a ring. He's obviously got to reapply to the British Boxing Board of Control for a licence, and that, Duke, is going to require a fairly stringent medical before they'll even consider letting him back in again. But certainly, whether it'll be good for boxing or not, it's a fight that a lot of people would like to see.
It's the most entertaining. It would be an entertaining fight, and it would be a fight that the public turn out in their absolute droves to see.
Well, a bit of verbals going on between Audley and Herbie Hyde is at ringside. There's a lot of chat going on. Steve Crocodile Fitch, formerly with the Mike Tyson camp, is using all his powers of rhetoric. I suspect they're not exactly Shakespearean or Chaucerian to berate Audley Harrison. But a bit of shoving going on. It's all got very nasty here at ringside, and there's no need for this whatsoever. They're threatening to land on top of us here in the comedy position. There is no security here whatsoever, and here at ringside we're in danger of being trampled. Now this is a complete nonsense. This is just ridiculous. There's nobody in here separating anybody at all. It was always taking a bit of a risk to have two people who really have no great love for each other in such close proximity. And I'm not exactly the smallest person in the world, but I felt a little bit intimidated by all of that. Steve Bunce, who's acting as one of our analysts, threatens to land on top of me. But everywhere else it's in fairly good humour. But what a night it's been here at Bethnal Green. Well, there's no doubt about it. Boxing and heavyweight boxing does bring along some very peculiar people to boxing. Chuck, I guess we've seen it all before.
If you'd like me to step in and try and be a bit of a negotiator, I don't mind. I'm only a small guy.
If I let you up on my shoulders, there's Herbie putting in his tuppence worth.
I'm only a small guy and I'm sure I can sort it out.
Well, there's still more people trying to jump on top of me. This is a complete nonsense. Behind us issued a fairly straightforward and unequivocal challenge to Audley Harrison, who perhaps should not have got himself involved in a war of words like that. But alas, far too much about boxing seems to be all about a war of words and a war of hype and everything else. Harrison has done the sensible thing and has retreated to the centre of the ring, and Herbie Hyde and his entourage will, I'm sure, have to leave. Their purpose has been served. He's drawn attention to himself. They've knocked over the table on which all our statistics are, and a real riot has broken out here. This is absolutely dreadful. This is absolutely dreadful here in the York Hall at Bethnal Green. I've never seen anything like it. The security guards are in, throwing chairs. This is absolutely disgraceful. This should not have been allowed to happen. This is absolutely dreadful. And this does nobody any credit whatsoever. This does nobody any credit whatsoever. Frank Bruno came into the ring with a fair amount of dignity, but there's been nothing dignified or professional or sportsmanlike about this. Let's just hope that nobody has got hurt at all. But this is dreadful and brings no credit to boxing. And after a very good night of boxing here at Bethnal Green, alas, this is going to be remembered for an incident which is going to cast a major cloud over the professionalism of this particular sport. The tables on which all our statisticians and graphics men work have been completely trampled and smashed, and Audley Harrison has now come to ringside.
Well,
this is pretty dreadful.
Unfortunately, I think Herbie just lost his temper. He's pushed a lady in the crowd. By the looks of it, he's pushed somebody, and it's just all gone haywire. Everybody's just gone crazy.
Well, it's gone very, very nasty indeed. There was always the danger that something like this was going to happen. Far too many people were allowed to get to ringside. The security was minimal, and it's detracted from, well, a very good performance by the Super Olympic heavyweight champion, Audley Harrison. And I don't think we're going to get a word with Audley, at least not at ringside. He's going to move away. And this has turned out to be a very, very unsavoury evening here in the York Hall in Bethnal Green. It started out as verbals and it finished up with punches being thrown, and I think somebody punched one of the women at ringside, one of the supporters maybe of Audley Harrison, and chairs were then thrown and it degenerated into a barroom brawl, which we didn't need, and the sport certainly doesn't need. Chuck Mackenzie.
Oh, it's absolutely, what a disgrace. You know, it really has marred a really good night's work of boxing by all the participants tonight. But, you know, when scenes like this happen, it just detracts from everything, and it really leaves a bad taste in everybody's mouth. The only loser tonight, unfortunately, now is boxing as a whole.
Well, this obviously was a sports event that's become a news story, and the man at the centre of it all, Audley Harrison, has been speaking to Gary Richardson.
Audley Harrison, what was your reaction to what happened this evening?
Yeah, first of all, I just want to say, you know, really want to apologise to the fans who turned out today. I also want to congratulate Matthew Ellis, who came to fight. And, you know, the first round, he made it very interesting. And obviously the second round, I showed some other skills and showed that, you know, I'm serious about where I'm going to go to. And I think all in all, you know, I was very happy, excited with the performance.
Yeah. What happened outside the ring, unfortunately, will make all the headlines during the course of Sunday and Monday. Who was responsible, do you think?
Well, the bottom line is, it's not about who was responsible. Everybody knows that Herbie Hyde's a loose cannon. And this is the Audley Harrison show, and like, at the end of the day, I don't know why people have got Herbie Hyde sitting ringside when I'm kind of come out of the ring.
It didn't probably help, though, that you got into the ring at the end of the fight with a microphone and said to the fans, who shall I fight, Bruno or Herbie Hyde? Would you agree that that whipped up the fans a bit?
No, I'd say that what whipped up the fans was sitting a guy ringside who's not fighting. When he boxed on Tuesday night, I wasn't sitting ringside when Herbie Hyde boxed. The crowd spoke. One sec. The crowd spoke, and they said they'd prefer to see me fight Frank Bruno. That's an honest question. The bottom line is, that guy should not be sitting ringside when I'm trying to come out of the ring.
Yeah, but
Herbie Hyde has... No, 1 second. Stop for a minute. Herbie Hyde has a history of fighting. He's fought with Michael Bent. He's fought at press conferences. He's fought with Danny Williams. 1 sec. He fights regularly at press conferences. The guy's out of control.
That said, Herbie Hyde was standing next to me at ringside, and Herbie Hyde didn't say a single word. He was standing there and he was behaving perfectly. The security people got involved, and the security people tried to move him out.
I'll leave it to the police to decide, but I'm sure a common assault took place today, and I'll leave that to the police to decide that.
Well, you're alleging that, and we don't actually know that.
The bottom line is, you can try and pull whatever scored. The bottom line, it was the Audley Harrison show. Matthew Ellis came. A big apology to the fan. Matthew Ellis came. He came to fight. It was a good performance from Matthew Ellis. The bottom line is, Herbie has a history of doing this, and it's been continued. I apologise to the fan. I also apologise to the television viewers. But what I would say is that this was a one-off, a one-fight agreement, obviously. Audley Harrison, as you see, I'm improving, and I'm going to get to the top. Now,
let me just ask you this. From a security point of view, Simon Block, the General Secretary of the Boxing Board of Control, has said he wasn't happy with the security ringside. So what do you say?
I can't comment on what...
Why can't you say that?
Because I don't know what you're saying there. I can't say. All I've got to say is thank you, fans, for turning up.
Thank you very much. At this point, we'll hand back to John Inverdale.
It's important to actually confront one of the issues where a lot of people are saying here around us at the moment that maybe we, as the BBC, were partly culpable for having Herbie Hyde at ringside. What would you say to that?
Well, I mean, you can't stop a man who wants to go to a boxing fight, can you? You know, Herbie Hyde has come here. Don't know whether he's been a paying customer, we don't know. But he's came here, he's sat at ringside. So how can you stop a man who wants to watch a boxing match? You can't stop him. However, as soon as I knew that Herbie Hyde was coming tonight, I knew there was going to be trouble. Don't ask me why, because trouble seems to follow Herbie everywhere, but it just wasn't the time and the place to goad Audley Harrison into a fight at ringside. That was the wrong thing to do.
And Audley was very insistent that he wasn't goading the crowd into what happened subsequently, but it was provocative to have the shall I fight Frank Bruno, shall I fight Herbie Hyde, wasn't it?
You can see how that's going to be provocative to Herbie Hyde, because, you know, he's sitting at ringside. He wants to have a loud debate. Herbie Hyde didn't come here to have a fight tonight. He had a Versace suit on. You don't go out for a fight in a Versace suit, John. It's just not the way it works. He came at ringside tonight to have some banter, have a bit of arguing, a bit of screaming. Herbie Hyde didn't go there for a fight, and suddenly he's in the ring, and I think Herbie would probably believe he was being belittled by Audley up in the ring. Maybe that's not the case. The bottom line is, I disagree in a way with you, Rich. It doesn't matter if he paid or he didn't pay. The bottom line is, they're both fighters on the BBC, and it's good for a future fight, and they should meet in the future. Let's get it right. One's the former British champion, one could be the future British champion. It just went wrong at ringside, and we're all Johnny Wise guys the next day, John.
Sure. Yeah, but were we irresponsible?
I mean, no, I don't think we're responsible, but in the future, if these two guys get together, what will it be like in the ring? Anything can happen, so I'm reserve the judgment on whether it should happen now.
OK, well, there is going to be a Boxing Board of Control inquiry, inevitably. What issues do they need to look at?
Well, to be honest with you, perfect, as we said earlier on, I think the security ringside tonight was perfect. Nothing could have happened, OK? Perhaps the space was too small, but then we can all be geniuses, as I said afterwards. I don't think there was anything wrong tonight. It just went wrong. Herbie's volatile, boxing fans can be volatile, and there wasn't a lot of space. And you know what? You look how hot it is out there. People were collapsing out the back.
Look at the sweat on our face, and we're not fighting. Let's talk about the fight. How good was that from Audley?
I think we've seen the good and bad of Audley Harrison tonight in terms of boxing. The first round took a little bit of time to get warmed up. He got caught with a good shot, you have to say, and it a right hand over the top, and then a left hook came in as well. But apart from that second round, he certainly got it together, found his range, got into his rhythm, and you could see he had that confidence that he knew he was too strong for the guy, and he finished him off in fine style.
He finished him off with a short left uppercut. Audley's 6'7". This guy's down here at 6 foot, and Audley's throwing a perfect short left uppercut. There ain't a heavyweight above 5'11" can throw that shot, and Audley is right, and I can understand why Audley is really upset tonight, and he is upset. I've known him a while. He's really upset tonight, and you know why? Because it's simple. He's not going to get any credit for what happened in the ring. He's just going to have what happened outside the ring hung around his chest.
OK, well, you can maybe see behind us, actually, that the press conference with Audley and his advisors is still going on, and I suspect it's going to go on for a fair while yet. So let's go back to what seems like an eternity ago almost, and actually see some boxing. This is Nicky Cook with the first defence of his Commonwealth Featherweight Championship.
You know what I expect from you. Shake hands, gentlemen. Good luck.
12 3-minute rounds for the Featherweight Championship of the Commonwealth.
For Nicky Cook in the gold trunks, the first defence of his 9-stone Commonwealth title that he won in February with a dramatic last-round stoppage of a Zimbabwean Mishek Kondwani. And he's in against another, well, somewhat unknown, but a rather useful-looking fella from Kenya, David Kilo, the 27-year-old. And for a man who's 9 stone, interesting, Nicky Cook has actually come in against the first chap, who might be Duke McKenzie, just fractionally taller than him.
It's incredible. How do any of these kids make 9 stone is beyond me. It really is. Kilo's a gangly southpaw.
Nicky Cook is cut. Nicky Cook is cut in the opening 30 seconds underneath his right eye. Now, whether that was a little clash of heads or not, well, we'll have to see. But Cook has got a little cut, and that will not do him any good whatsoever. Fortunately, it's underneath the eye and not above. And Cook looking tanned and very fit. He's been in Lanzarote for the last 6 or 7 weeks, training with his dad, Paul, who's his main trainer, and also with his main sparring partner, Isham Pickering. But this is not the start that Nicky Cook would have wanted. This big southpaw has cut Nicky Cook quite through what agency we'll find out in a second or two. Good left hand, straight through by Kilo. And a lot of the opponents on Kilo's record, pretty unknown. This is only his 3rd time outside his native Kenya. He's fought once in South Africa and once in Denmark. So the first time in the UK, and he has made his mark, quite literally, on the Commonwealth champion, Nicky Cook, midway through the first. And what will that do to Cook's confidence, Duke?
Well, fortunately, the cut's underneath the eye, so we don't know how bad it is. It won't go into the eye, thank God. But, you know, Kilo's got a very compact southpaw style, and he slams that left hand home quite well, right down the pipe.
And Nicky has got his feet a little bit on the wrong side. He's got that left foot of his inside the southpaw right lead, and that's not where he wants to be at all.
Needs to get it on the outside so he can come over the top with his own counter punches. He doesn't know how bad that cut is, so you know he can just probably try and get on and do his work, but just being outworked just a little bit, ever so slightly here.
Well, Cook will need to regain his composure pretty swiftly. He'll need to go to work on that eye. I reckon it might just have been a good shot by the unheralded David Kilo. 30 seconds to go. And they'll be straight back to the corner for Cook. And never mind the instructions, get the eye sorted out. The very sun-tanned dad, Paul Cook, in the corner, looking extremely anxious, as well he might. Cook has settled down a little bit. The southpaw style on the long arms of Kilo really confusing Nicky Cook in the opening 3 minutes. Mark Breen instructs them to break. I think Nicky Cook will get back to that corner of his as swiftly as his legs will carry him. And again, he's got his feet in the wrong place, and back he goes. And let's have a look at that eye. It's in the blind side of his hair. Well, it's nasty enough, but it is underneath the eye. They'll go straight to work with the adrenaline solution. Now, how exactly did that happen in the opening stages of this contest? Look at Kilo. Lovely slicing shot right through it. May just have glanced off the left of Nicky Cook on its way in, so it took a deflection in soccer terms, but landed right on the target, and that's what caused the cut. Well, a bit of a flurry there, Duke.
Drama straight away in this fight. Nicky's just got to try and settle down. Like I say, the cut's underneath the eye, so it won't run into his eye and blur his vision.
Listen to you, good ball.
So a tough opening round in the defence of his Commonwealth featherweight title for the champion in the gold trunks, Nicky Cook. They seem to have got the flow of blood stemmed from that nasty nick underneath his right eye, courtesy of a good shot by the challenger in the candy striped trunks. 27-year-old David Kilo from Kenya had a bit of bother actually getting into the country for this contest, and had to produce some evidence from a website which was previewing the fight to show the customs people or the immigration people that he really was coming in January to box.
It's quite a common thing, you know, when you go abroad to fight, if your papers aren't correct, so you haven't got anything in place, you know, you have absolute dramas at at the customs office, and they will detain you.
Well, Nicky Cook got himself caught once again with another good left hand from this big stringy-looking southpaw. Well, Cook responds in kind. Keeley is down. Is he going to get up? I don't think he is. Has he stopped him in the second? He has. Well, he responded in the best way that he knows, Nicky Cook. It was a very difficult first round. Paul Cook looking equally tanned from a few weeks in Lanzarote. Will be pretty happy with that. Certainly happier than he was at the end of the round, of the first round. Nicky Cook puts this man away in no uncertain fashion. Well, David Keeley looked as if he might be causing a bit of an upset when he, apart from causing the cut, might just have shaded that first round, but he got himself caught by a typical trademark Nicky Cook shot in the second, and that's win number 21 for Nicky Cook, and the 13th inside the distance. And Mark Green, I think, is saying to him, just as well you did that. Well, what a finish by Cook. Left himself open, and there was a shot right into the body, I think it was, Duke.
Well, I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure I caught that shot. Yeah, it was a sort of looping shot, but the guy just seemed to crumble. That was strange.
Oh yes, it went straight in. That was a very good angle.
Yeah,
yes, angle number 3, and well done the chaps in VT.
Yeah.
The perfect angle, and what a good body shot that was.
Well, lads, as they clear up the mess behind us, if I can take you back to Nicky Cook a long time ago, 4 minutes wasn't much, but he might maybe be expected to be in the ring a bit longer than that.
Maybe, but I thought he boxed very well tonight, because at the end of the day, with a lot of these African guys, you never know what to expect. They're either going to be very strong or they're going to be totally inadequate in terms of skills. That guy there wasn't in Nicky Cook's league, and for me, Nicky Cook, I thought, boxed excellently.
Yeah, I agree completely, Richie. And the other thing, John, you get in the ring, you look over, there's an African there, he's about 5'11", you're 5'6", he's the same weight as you, and then he's a southpaw. Bear in mind, the tapes that were probably sent over from Nairobi were probably crackly. You couldn't make out what sort of guy you're fighting, and it could have developed into a long, drawn-out, hard 12 rounds. And in the heat here tonight, we've already seen what happened. You know, this was a dangerously hot arena to go 12 rounds in.
Quick thought about what Nicky Cook's future might be?
Well, I would like to see him maybe have 2 or 3 more defences of the Commonwealth title. I remember when I won the Commonwealth title, I had 4 or 5 defences. And, you know, he's still learning and he's got a long way to go. He can then, if he defends that title 3 or 4 times, step up to the European. I think he'll go far, but there's no rush. I think he should take his time, a couple of defences, and he can go on to the next level, which is European.
OK, we're talking about great conflicts coming up shortly. Ward Gatti 3 from Atlantic City is yours on, well, a week tonight, actually, on Sunday night. It's 1 apiece. Who'll win the great showdown? It's $1 million purse, and it's unmissable, as I'm sure you will know only too well. Now, let's see some more boxing, and this is a light heavyweight contest between Andrew Lowe from London and Neil Linford from Peterborough. It was scheduled to go 10.
I want a clean step back. Is there any question for you? Any question for you? Touch goes the back.
10 3-minute rounds.
Well, this has the makings of a very interesting 10-rounder at light heavyweight. The man in the black trunks has got most of the support because he's from Bethnal Green. He's Andrew Lowe. He's 28 years old, and he's the Southern Area light heavyweight champion. That title not on the line because his opponent, although he lives in Brighton, is from Leicester, and he's Neil Linford, a 24-year-old managed by Kevin Sanders and trained by Ronnie Davis. And Linford is back into the ring, having lost over 12 pretty tough rounds to Tony Oki in Portsmouth at the end of March in a WBU light heavyweight challenge. 116, 110 on all 3 judges' cards in favour of Tony Oki. Then for a pretty useful super middle, started off as a middleweight, then moved up to super middle, and indeed challenged David Starry for both the British and Commonwealth titles. So he's had more than double the number of professional contests that Andrew Lowe has had. Lowe looks in terrific condition. Just a couple of pounds heavy, but very, very heavy legs, Andrew Lowe.
Yeah, he's very, very well physiqued. He's got a fantastic build. But, you know, the other guy here, Linford, has started very positively, very purposeful. He's found some good body shots. You know, he's come to win. Beautiful uppercut there by Lowe.
Well, he doesn't have a terribly concussive punch. He's had just one win by knockout in his 10 consecutive professional victories. Linford has just had 6 KOs out of his 15 wins, and he's had 5 losses. Good footwork by Lowe, a nice movement from the waist, and straight back into it. Good fast jab from the local boy. Well, I don't know, Duke, they're going to keep up this pace for 10 rounds.
Yeah, they've started really nice and well, nice and sharp. Linford appears to be more of a stylist than a puncher. As the one knockout in his record would suggest, he's not a banger, but he's just a nice boxer.
And Linford has tended to struggle a wee bit with the top-class boxers like Belfast Brian McGee, and of course most recently Tony Oki. And he was also stopped by the very good Syrian who's based in London, Hussein Osman. But he looks solid enough at light heavy. Slashing right hand from Andrew Lowe. Has that left hand of his held very low. Well, they've just taken the opening 3 minutes just to work out any little defensive areas that can be worked upon.
I sense a slight bit of needle between these two, you know. Linford saying to Lowe, anything you can do, I can do as well. He's just dropping his hands, a little bit of contempt there.
Well, that always adds a little bit of spice to what's a pretty hot, sultry evening here in Bethnal Green.
Lean off to the side, so he comes in with double jab, right, and lean off to the side. Right, through the middle, yeah? You all right, yeah? Feel good. Big breathe, come on.
So that's Andrew Lowe, the 28-year-old local boy, Southern Area Light Heavyweight champion, won the vacant title in his last contest at the end of March with a 10-rounder against Balham's Radcliffe Green. Kevin Sanders leading through the ropes, Ronnie Davis in the ring in front of Neil Linford. Only 24, remember. Duke, beg your pardon, he's 25 and taking a year off his age. So Andrew Lowe in the black, Neil Linford in the blue, trimmed with white. Interesting opening 3 minutes, and the pace I think will be maintained. Solid body shots coming in from Neil Linford. Ooh, a bit naughty that. Jeff Hines will not be pleased with that. Fair bit of noise here, lots of support for Andrew Lowe, who was the man who transgressed. And at least he acknowledges that he shouldn't have done that. Good work by Linford. Puts Lowe on the back foot for the first time, Duke.
Linford, he fancies this fight. He really does. He doesn't want Lowe to come away with anything. Anything Lowe throws, he comes straight back at him. Lowe's very, very calm, very relaxed, just trying to goad him in a little bit. Drops his hands, does a little bit of showboating, and then goes back to his work. This could develop into quite an interesting little fight.
Linford just falling short. Lowe tends to have his hands held very wide apart, but I think that's just maybe to tempt the opposition to come into him.
He's trying to tempt him in, all right. He wants to try and pick him off with that uppercut that he tried at the beginning of this round. So far, there's that uppercut again. So far, though, Linford hasn't fallen for it. He's just taking his time. When he sees the opportunity, he'll just throw a little burst of punches and tries to break him up.
Linford trying to get inside to the body of Lowe, but it's a fairly well-muscled body, and he looks as if he can take plenty of shots downstairs. Just over halfway. Jeff Hines breaks them up. Linford first to the punch. Well, at this stage, Duke, it'll be pretty hard to separate them.
Yeah, there's nothing in it. Linford's right there. The flashier work is being done by Lowe, but the more aggressive work is being done by Linford.
There was a good example of that in that little exchange where Linford came through with a good left. Lowe saw that second one coming and got the right hand up. It's good refereeing by Jeff Hines, letting them work themselves out of it. 30 seconds to go to the end of the second. Not just quite the wildness of the pace of the first round. They've developed a little bit more measure. Around the corner by Lowe, but he did get himself caught with a good right hand by Linford in the Leicester man's corner.
Nice right hand over the top from Linford.
Good 3 minutes. Well, this always had the makings of a pretty decent scrap, and my word, it's turning out to be exactly that. This Andrew Lowe, just his second 10-rounder, but he lasted the pace well in March against Radcliffe Green. He's just about into the top 10 in Britain, but he's a fair way to go before he even thinks about somebody as good as Clinton Woods, needless to say. Some action from that round. Good work by Linford. A couple of good stinging shots into the body, really rattled the rib cage of Andrew Lowe. And Lowe delivered the same in kind, and Linford responded immediately. So Lowe may just have shaded the first, Duke. What do you think, Linford? Maybe the second?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. There's nothing in his fight. I'd give it a round apiece right now.
Good work by Linford right at the end, and Lowe on the retreat, and has to hold on. An awful lot of water mixed with sweat coming off the head and torso of the man in the black trunks. Bethnal Green's Andrew Lowe, the reigning Southern Area light heavyweight champion. He's come through a fairly tried and trusted route to get to this 11th professional contest, but in with men like Rob Stevenson and William Webster and Paul Wesley, Ali Forbes and dear Paul Bonson that everybody goes in with and very few people stop. Good work by Linford. That short little left of his has proved pretty effective.
He's coming over the top every time. Lowe started the round positively, nice little burst, but he's now allowed Linford to come straight back into the fight with his own little combination. A lovely little jab from Linford. Lowe should get his left hand up a little bit higher because he carries it far too low. If Linford decides to chop down with his right hand, he's got a clear target.
Lowe just falling short. Better by Linford. Yeah, and Lowe stuck the tongue out. That means he knows he's going to hurt.
That's a sure sign of when you're hurt. You know, you try to, showboat a little bit, say I'm not hurt, but that caught him flush.
Good work by Linford. As the uppercut from Lowe wasn't a million miles away. Just shakes out the shoulder. Again, Linford being first to the jab.
Lowe's very, very relaxed. He's very, very confident. He's very, very sure of himself, you know. It's good to see. But I'd still like to see him keep that left hand a bit higher before he pays the price, because if Linford catches him with the right hand, then he'll be in trouble.
A bit of swelling underneath the left eye of Neil Linford. Again, Lowe with that left of his own, held very low. Again, Lowe sticks the tongue out as if to say, come on, you may hit me, but you can't hurt me. A trickle of blood now coming from the nose of Neil Linford. No attacks and Linford responds. This is a very interesting scrap.
It's quite an absorbing fight. You know, first, obviously, like Linford gets on top, and then Lowe comes straight back at him. Lowe started the round positively and finished quite positively.
And in between, Linford was landing with the cleaner shots. Bit of work on the eye of Neil Linford. There's a little bit of swelling, nothing much to worry about at this stage, but it's darkening ever so slightly, and they certainly won't want it to get any worse. As Ronnie Davis, you couldn't get a better man, really, could you, than Ronnie?
Absolutely. You know, he's got a good team in his corner.
All right, mate. Just got to watch him over on
That was a good right hand, and another one to follow up by Andrew Lowe. But Linford responds immediately, and though he wasn't too accurate, he shrugged off the attack. Uppercut through from Andrew Lowe once again. And a good left hand by Linford. So 5 more to go, and a decent pace has been kept up all the way through.
The sweat pouring out of these guys, it's quite incredible.
Well, the combination of their exertions and the lights and the lack of ventilation here, I think everybody's starting to perspire pretty freely.
That's a better attack from Lowe. Just for a little 1-2 and try to sidestep, come back with another counter. Linford, to his credit, though, blocked it halfway through.
Two-fisted attack from Lowe, just warded off by Linford.
Linford shouldn't get drawn into a dogfight. He should keep this just a little bit longer, because that's where Linford likes this kind of an in-fight. Sorry, Lowe shouldn't get drawn into the dogfight, because Linford likes it there.
Interesting, it was Linford who decided to take the backward step and get out of that exchange. Back they come again.
That's better from Linford. There's that right hand that he finishes with every time. There's that flashy little combination from Lowe.
Didn't really have the desired effect. He went to the body and tried to draw down the gloves of Linford. That was a good right hand. That was the best shot he's delivered all contest, Andrew Lowe. Linford took it flush in the side of the jaw. Just over a minute to go to the end of the fourth, and therefore, with another to go to the halfway stage, this scheduled for 10 3-minute rounds.
Lowe needed that shot. He needed to stamp his authority on the fight, and I think he's just done that with that one punch.
And Linford still a fair bit of bounce there, so it didn't bother him too much, but it was a good, accurate scoring shot. Left from Linford, wasn't too far away. And I think, you know, Andrew Lowe is listening to the corner. I think he's keeping those hands up much more than he did.
Needs to.
Well, this really is a credit to the pair of them. Lowe certainly is getting better with every contest. He's looking much more accomplished.
I like them short, fast bursts that Lowe throws. They're nice, they're flashing, they're quite precise. There's another one swinged around.
Yep, good finish by the man from Bethnal Green, Andrew Lowe. Well, he's worked up a fair old lather, Andrew Lowe, not surprisingly. That was that good right hand round the corner, and Linford for the first time held on.
All right, big baby, come on. When you come out and rush, but when you get me down your back, I'll score.
Kenny Sanders and Ronnie Davis, and Ronnie doing most of the talking. And one hopes that Neil Linford is listening. Well, still 6 rounds to go, and we've had 4 Absolutely cracking rounds. I don't think I've seen 4 better light heavyweight rounds for a while, Duke. These have been good stuff.
Absolutely. These are 2 well-seasoned, well-scored fighters just applying their trade. It'll be interesting to see how they get when they get to the midway stage, who injects what to their makeup, because there's really nothing in it right now. Good body shot from Linford.
Linford's obviously been in with a much higher quality of opponent than Andrew Lowe, although he's some 3 years younger. Linford just puffing a little bit. Mouth open slightly.
This is a hard fight. It's a hard fight. It's a competitive fight. Both boxers have to, think about how they're going to work out an opening. And Linford for his part is pressure. But Lowe now is just starting to get back to him what he's doing. A little bit more bobbing and weaving, trying to get inside, trying to come off with little flashy combinations. Just better work from him.
Well, the only common opponent in the red doors is one Radcliffe Green, whom Andrew Lowe defeated last time out, and Neil Linford could only draw with, so that's going to be a fair measure of where they are at the moment. Again, they didn't have to wait for the command of referee Jeff Hines to break. They get on with it. Somebody outside selling those little helicopter-type personal fans, they would have made a fortune, Duke. It's really hot in here.
The heat in here is it's been a hot day, obviously, but these guys are working really hard and they're sweating up really well. Nice little flashy combination there from Lowe.
Linford came in at 12 stone 9, Andrew Lowe at 12 stone 11. I think they'll probably shed 5 or 6 pounds between them if this goes the full 10 rounds. More blood now around the mouth of Neil Linford. Then he walks onto a good right hand. Lowe gets him with an uppercut. And again.
It's like Linford's got a bad habit. He walks in and he puts his left hand down and he's getting counter-punched with the right hand from Lowe every time.
Lowe's got him again and Linford's holding on. Lowe looks very, very confident at this stage, and he strides with a bit of a swagger back to his corner. That was a much better round from him.
Yeah, Lowe's round undoubtedly. He seems to have a little bit of a time clock in his head. He starts the round quick and he finishes strong, catching the referee's eye every time.
Well, that's why you work 2 3-minute bells in the gym. You do everything with 3-minute bells, don't you?
Absolutely, yeah.
When you're questioning back, you throw his out, right? When you're questioning back, you throw his out, right? It works. When he's coming forward, you throw the Mayweather, right? Good. Beautiful. Feel good? Yep. Suck it up. Yeah, good man. Come on. Got this kid, man. All right? Come on. You're hurting him, man. When you're hurting him, just let him have flowers, all right?
Cool. All right? You're standing off. When you're standing off, you get caught. Go forward, slip, roll. You've got a beautiful movement start there. Yeah. Don't get caught. Pull forward there, slip, roll, bring up with them hooks to the body, swish him to the head. All right? Yep. Don't let me say you're tired. You ain't tired. Come on. Get your act together.
Well, no sign of panic in either corner so far, nor should there be. So, into the second half of what has been an absolutely cracking domestic non-title light heavyweight contest. Andrew Lowe, the man in black from Bethnal Green, has not got his Southern Area title on the line. Now there's the old adage, be first, and he was first with that good jab of his.
Yeah, snapping jabs from Lowe. Just jolting the other kid's head right back, taking him out of his stride completely.
Britain's current #1 light heavyweight, Clinton Woods, is back in action in Sheffield on the 10th of June. And that's a contest you'll be able to see with us here on BBC television. Noel Wilder's defending his European title as well. Lowe looks to me, Duke, like one of those fighters who the better the opposition, the better he performs. He's really paced this one very nicely. In some of his earlier contests I've seen him, he's been a little bit too flashy, and his mind perhaps has not been 100% concentrated, but that's not the case here tonight.
No, he's boxing very, very well. But I think he knows that in Linford he's got a young, hungry fighter that could quite possibly hurt him, even dent his unbeaten record. So he's got to box with, professionalism.
Well, younger Linford certainly is, but much more experienced he certainly is. This is his 22nd contest, as opposed to Lowe having his 11th.
Lowe's really starting to fancy this now. He's picked up the pace in this round.
It was always going to be a bit of a gamble for Neil Linford, coming back as he has done after defeat by Tony Oki for Oki's WBU title in Portsmouth in March. First time that referee Jeff Hines has really had to tell either, in this case both of them, off for being a bit naughty.
Lowe still looks quite fresh though. Looks very fresh as opposed to Linford, who's puffing a little bit now. Getting a little bit marked up, a little bit banged up around the face. Elbow in there from Linford.
Pretty useful use of the forearm by Andrew Lowe, but he backed it up with some good shots. And that was another good right hand, and the uppercut wasn't too far away. And Linford's in a little bit of trouble, and Ronnie Davis is looking very anxiously at his man. There's blood around the right eye. I'm not sure whether it's come from the nose and has been spread a little bit, but this is not a good end to the round for Neil Linford. He comes back with a solid-looking left, but Lowe all of a sudden found the target, and Linford started to wobble a little bit. And that was a good round once again for Andrew Lowe.
Good round for Lowe. Started just as he finished the round yet again. Started strong, but he maintained it throughout the whole of the round this time. Instead of starting strong and finishing strong, he maintained it for the whole 3 minutes, which is good to see.
That's good.
Still looks really fresh. And we're going into the 7th round. Now Lowe looks the stronger of the two, the sharper of the two. Linford's looking a little bit sorry for himself. He needs a good pep talk in that corner now to pull him round.
Well, he did come off a very tough 12-rounder, remember, in his last contest, so there was a fair element of risk taken when he came in against Andrew Lowe. Lowe really picked it up right at the end of the round, and that was that good clubbing left hand. Linford tried to fob him off with a little left of his own, but Lowe wasn't going to be denied. Good blocking by Lowe, and there was that good right, and that really rocked Linford, and the uppercut was spot on, and the second one was very near the target. Good finish by Andrew Lowe.
Lowe might be looking to try and really inject some more pace into this round, and if he does, then he might get an early finish.
Well, Linford had his last opponent, Tony Oki, down in the 9th round in their WBU title contest, but Oki, remember, came back and won it pretty handily. 116, 110 on all 3 judges' cards, and that's a fairly wide margin. Linford puffing a little bit. He's on the flats of his feet now. There's not a lot of bounce there. He might try to fancy this, standing toe-to-toe and head-to-head. Good right again from Andrew Lowe.
I don't know how much Linford's actually got left, because you know what? He's digging his feet in now, he's digging his heels in, and he's throwing everything into every punch. He's trying desperately to try and sway this fight in his favour.
Both of them are starting to show the effects of the heat from the lights and the heat in general in the York Hall here on Bethnal Green. And even Lowe's mouth is open now, and he's puffing a little bit. Good solid exchange. What a great scrap this is.
It's a hard fight. It's a hard fight. They're fighting at a good pace. They're landing plenty. Lowe now's just trying to pick it up again. He won't let Linford take the play away from him. He knows Linford's trying to claw his way back into the fight, but Lowe won't have it.
Well, midway through the round, and Linford in the end of a couple of solid left hands from Andrew Lowe, who's looking certainly the more confident of the two. And you do get the feeling that if Lowe can land with one really solid shot, Linford's terrific resolve may just go. Linford holding. Linford comes streaming back.
That's better from Linford. A little bit of bobbing and weaving. We haven't really seen that. He rolled in, he rolled out, he missed a couple of shots. If he could do a little bit more of that, you know, it will add to the power of his own punches, and he can also come back and try and work from that. All too often, though, Linford's in a straight line, so you know where he's going to be. He's getting picked up with the shots again now because he's too upright.
Lowe in the main is covered up particularly well. There's a good right hand, and again Neil Linford has to hold on. Less than half a minute to go to the end of this, the 7th, and it's going to be a hard road for Neil Linford unless he finds some great resolve. Lowe starting to feel the pace, has a glance in the direction of his corner. Good finish by the pair of them. And the 25-year-old Neil Linford, living in Brighton now, originally from Leicester, back to his corner. Another tough 3 minutes. But this has been an absolute delight to watch and a privilege to watch.
It's been a great fight so far, it really has. You know, Ronnie Davies says he's leaving a bit of the right act there to his charge, he's just trying to get him out of it.
Don't give him no room, keep on top. Keep pushing back, right? Listen to what I'm going to say.
Yeah, Ronnie, for the first time, perhaps just raising his voice. There was that uppercut that Lowe has tried with and landed with on a couple of times before, and another round the corner right to follow. And it was, in the main, it was Lowe. Linford came back with a solid jab on that occasion. And most of the accurate telling punches were thrown by the man across the ring from Neil Linford.
Off and get caught. Forward, hands up, and move him out of it.
I make Lowe quite a handsome. He's in quite a handsome lead now. He's won the last 2 rounds quite clearly from my scorecard.
Well, if that's the case, then Neil Linford will have to win the last 2 or else stop Andrew Lowe, and I'm not sure he's going to be able to do that, but you never know in this game. Lowe looking very confident, as he always does, and as he has done from the very first bell here. Bit of a slap from the left hand of Lowe.
Linford's sucking up that air now, his mouth's dropped wide open, taking in big gulps of air. He's trying so hard, just to try and sway this fight in his favour. Looking for that one payoff, that one KO shot.
Well, I don't know that he's got it. Just under 2 minutes to go to the end of this one. Lowe's certainly looking the stronger, but the heat is just crippling at the moment.
Both fighters would have been drinking the water provided by their corners between rounds, trying to rehydrate themselves, keep themselves going quite nicely. But you know, these guys are in tremendous shape because they haven't stopped punching. It's been quality work though, they just haven't thrown shots aimlessly in the direction, the general direction where they hope they'll land. They're quite well-educated shots.
It really has been a cracking light heavyweight contest. Linford giving ground a little bit, giving away a couple of pounds in weight, but it's not going to make that much of a difference. And Lowe all the way through, it seemed to me, Duke, to be just slightly the hungrier of the two.
Well, he's just had that slight edge in class for me as well. You know, just seems to finish off every combination. He just seems to have the last say in every sort of like outburst that they have. Linford keeps trying. He's hustling forward. Throws his quick, hard punches. Body shots as well, which is good to see. And then Lowe just comes straight back at him. Clubbing shots. This is such an absorbing fight.
Signs of tiredness from both men, understandably. Good body shot went in there from Neil Linford. Lowe took the first on the elbow, but the second one landed right in the short rib. And again, Linford repeats the dose. Slightly better round from him, having conceded the last one. Lowe might just have the edge. That was a rather wild uppercut attempt, almost the old-fashioned bolo punch. Didn't quite land.
Didn't quite land. Linford, to his credit though, you could just see him biting on the gum shield, trying to rip in those body shots really, really hard, trying to make one of them tell, one of them pay off. Unfortunately, never quite got through clean enough, not hard enough anyway, certainly not to bother Lowe. Yeah. Both fighters now then in their corners are breathing really, really hard, taking in large amounts of water. Yeah.
Well, whatever advice is being passed on to Andrew Lowe, it's obviously very much a trade secret. But he's given it a very good go, an even better performance than at the end of March when he outpointed Ballams Radcliffe Green to take the Southern Area title. And across the ring from him in the blue corner, there's Neil Linford.
Two more rounds.
Ronnie Davis reckons that Linford can do this, but he'll certainly have to win the last 2 rounds, I reckon. Straight back into it. Keep the head up from referee Jeff Hines to the man in the blue trunks, trimmed with white, Neil Linford. We had a real tough 12-rounder with Tony Oakey at the end of March. He's taken a real solid right hand from Andrew Lowe.
Oh, he's trying so hard. He's digging in those body shots, Linford, to Lowe's body. They're both trading really heavily now.
Now the ring has hardly been used at all.
They've almost made the referee redundant. You know, I'd say they've worked and they've broke it up when they've needed to break it up. There's been no real infringements. It's been a cracking fight.
A great credit to both of them and their respective camps for getting him into such good condition. Just a minor telling off to Neil Linford about a low blow. I don't think it was deliberate. Certainly didn't affect Andrew Lowe in any way.
Shots are just slightly going a little bit borderline. That's tiredness more than anything, though. It's not on Linford's part. He's not doing it deliberately.
Well, Lowe's, the last 3 rounds come on pretty strongly in the second half of them. Let's see if he can do it again. Linford still stalking him, keeping at him all the time. He's going to win this contest, Linford. He needs a big finish to this round and a big last round.
You can see Linford now, he's willing himself on, he's physically trying to push Lowe back. After nearly every exchange, he'll get hold of him like he's doing now and try and walk him back.
A couple of solid looking lefts there from Andrew Lowe, half blocked though by Neil Linford. Both of them now desperately tired, but I'm sure they'll lift everything off for the final 3 minutes. Just about a minute to go to the end of this, the penultimate round. And full marks to both boxers for a terrific display here in Bethnal Green.
Absolute quality. You know, sometimes you'd watch a championship fight that wouldn't be this good. But there's no title on the line tonight except the fighter's pride.
Well, Linford has lost 5 times. Andrew Lowe has never lost at all, and doesn't certainly want to lose his unbeaten record. This will be a major scalp for Andrew Lowe if he can overcome the very gallant and very experienced Neil Linford.
Absolutely, you know, I was going to say the pair of them, whatever they're getting paid tonight, they've more than deserved it. It's been a real blood and guts kind of fight, where they've had to stand and trade and pit their wits against one another. It's been a pleasure to watch.
Well, lots and lots of guts, and I'm glad to say only a very tiny little bit of blood. So for the last time, Andrew Lowe goes back to the corner to get the advice. But what a good round that was. A hard round, and a round that I think will just set the scene for a final cracking 3 minutes.
Both fighters now sucking up large amounts of air, drinking plenty of water, which will show just how tired they are. They've had to really work hard tonight to prepare them. It's just about trying to raise their spirit now. It's not about double jab, right hand, left hook. It's not about that at all.
Don't tell me you're tired, all right? Well, you're out there and do your job, all right? Get out there and work. So last round's only 3 minutes, all right?
This is the final round coming up, gentlemen. Okay.
All right? Work. Get out there and work. Come on. You've got to throw punches, not just move forward, throw
punches. Work from the lips of Ronnie Davis. Neil Linford does work. He'll have to work pretty hard if he's going to take this decision. What do you reckon, Duke McKenzie?
Well, Linford, to me, probably needs to knock out. He's not going to win this one on points. He's just allowed Lowe just to be the boss when it's come to the boxing. But he's won everything, for heart, determination, power. He's put it all in. But he's just coming off second best in the actual boxing department.
Well, I don't reckon there's very much between them. A round, possibly two, maybe three at the very most, and I do have a feeling it's going to be in favour of Andrew Lowe, but we have to rely on referee Jeff Hines for the definitive version of the decision.
I'd make Lowe a 3-round margin ahead, almost certainly.
Another left hand from Linford went in a little bit on the low side, and the referee's blind side. Linford very tired, even Lowe's puffing now. But this has been an absolutely splendid contest between two very fit men who have given it everything.
I'll tell you what, it's a pity there's not a championship on the line tonight. It really is. You don't see very many fights like this where there's not a championship involved. There's not one on the line, but I'll tell you what, these guys are fighting as though they're fighting for a world title.
Well, both exhausted. Linford really leaning on there. All Lowe has to do is cover up. Good right hand and the uppercut again from Lowe. And he's produced those regular single good hard scoring shots. And again, Linford is exhausted. Midway through this, the 10th round, Linford has given everything in the opening part of this round, and I don't think he's got very much left.
I'll tell you what, I take my hat off to the pair of them right now. Linford's got nothing left in the tank, but neither is Lowe. They're both just going toe-to-toe. They've got nothing left, but they're still looking for that last shot to sway it in either man's way. Full credit to the pair of them.
I'll tell you, Duke, this is a credit to British boxing, and more importantly, a credit to Neil Linford and Andrew Lowe, who just took a good hard shot. Linford could have done with that earlier on in the contest. There wasn't anything like the power in it that there might have been, because he, like Andrew Lowe, is exhausted. 40 seconds to go. I'll tell you, in the old days, this would have been a Nobbins fight. They would have been throwing money in. And if they do, it'll be well deserved.
Absolutely. It's a classic, it really is. And as I said, there's no championship on the line tonight, but there should be.
Well, I'll tell you something, if there's a short list at the moment for domestic fight of the year, this has to be right up there. Not a title in sight, not a belt, not a crown, just two men giving it 100%, and they really have given it 100%.
Absolutely fantastic.
A little bit more bounce and Lowe. Lowe's got it. But what a splendid light heavyweight contest. 10 100% rounds of sheer determination and pride and courage. Ronnie Davis comes over, decent fella that he is, and says, well done to Andrew Lowe. And Lowe is absolutely exhausted, and no wonder the doctor is in having a good look at them. They really gave it 100% all the way through. What a terrific performance. We'll get the official scoring in a minute. But no wonder Andrew Lowe is sitting down again, because he gave that, well, 30 minutes of his very, very best. He had to dig deep all the way through against a gallant man from Leicester. Linford knew that he had to finish this to win the contest, and as he came forward, Andrew Lowe caught him with one or two of those trademark little right uppercuts, and there was the round the corner. Look at Linford, even right at the end when he must have known it was slipping away from him, he kept it going, but it was Andrew Lowe who kept himself in front. What a finish.
The referee scorecard reads for Neil Linford, 95 points, for Andrew Lowe, 97 points. The winner, Andrew Lowe.
Well, just 2 points in it. Andrew Lowe, one of his best, if not his very best performance of all time, but it was made doubly good by the performance of a very gallant Neil Linford.
Well, next, here's an international middleweight contest that was scheduled to go 8 rounds between Hussein Osman and Gary Beardsley. Believe you me, this one ended with a bang.
Well, it's a boiling point here in the York Hall of Bethnal Green. It really is very warm. The ring lights and everything else, and a lack of ventilation. Both boxers, I'm sure, feeling the heat as well, but they should be used to it. So Hussein Osman, the 29-year-old, born in Syria, based down Paddington, in the white, against the man in the light blue trunks from Belper and Derbyshire, Gary Beardsley. Opening couple of rounds, one would suspect, to Hussein Osman due to the more accurate punching. Letting Beardsley move around him. There's that good left again. That was a better one. That left hook was a real peach. Beardsley is very, very resilient. Osman picking it up a little bit now, went for the uppercut, didn't quite land. Beardsley under a little bit of pressure now in this third round. But he is such a game boxer, Beardsley. Came in at short notice to box Howard Eastman in a non-title fight. And while everybody except the Duke, it was a total mismatch. He didn't just come in just to pick up a few pennies. He gave it his best, and obviously it wasn't good enough.
Yeah, he won't just come and try to make up the numbers. This guy, when he fights to win. Okay, we know he doesn't win all of his fights, but he's got a heart as big as a bucket, and he'll be in this until the end.
Good shot by Beardsley, but Osman shrugged it off and came back with a very solid right. A minute to go to the end of the third. Beardsley puffing a little bit, as well he might. Well, this is a very good match between these two, isn't it?
It's a good match. You know, the fight's not being fought at a terribly hard pace, but the punches are telling, and it's quite wearing.
Oh, solid right hand.
Those clubbing sort of hooks and uppercuts that Osman throws, they're quite wearing down, and you know, the accumulation will start to tell as the rounds start to go on, I feel, and he might just get a late stoppage if he can keep this up.
Better work by Osman right at the end of this, the third. 5 more to go. I don't know if they can keep this pace up. Osman looks very fresh indeed, having been out of the ring for some 5 months. So there's Hussein Osman. Had 2 great battles with Matthew Barney, whom he stopped, and then lost 2 in points for the IBO Intercontinental Super Middleweight title and the Southern Area Super Middle title. It's not really a super middle. He can do 11 stone 6 very easily. It was a good solid round by him, although Beardsley was keeping the hands up quite well. This fellow Osman doesn't let you. There's no hiding place with him, is there, Duke?
He won't let him rest. He really won't. He's very persistent, very dogged in the way he tries to just track him down and just throw little short shots on the inside and come back with the long shots over the top.
Well, more work coming in from Osman. Beardsley just right at the end catching him, and Osman responding immediately with a cracking right hand. It has been a really absorbing contest at middleweight between the 29-year-old Hussein Osman in the white and the 34-year-old Gary Beardsley in the light blue. Osman's solid, single, accurate punching. I have a feeling just the difference between the two of them. Beardsley looking a little bit weary, but then he had 2 real belters with Matthew Thurwell either side of a crushing defeat at the hands of Howard Eastman. Beardsley launching a right hand, but well out of reach.
Beardsley's got quite a tight defence. Every time Osman comes on with 2, 3, 4 punches, he tucks up nice and tight and just tries to weather the storm.
Yeah, I think Osman, if he has one failing, that he's not moving from side to side enough. It's all very straight line stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe start trying to break that defence down by introducing some feints and, you know, maybe working his jab a little bit more, but You know, he starts off really, really well, and then he goes into a little bit of a shell, and then he picks it up again. He just boxing within himself, Osman. He's not going. He doesn't look like this round. At least he's not going for the knockout. He's just boxing within himself.
Midway point in the fourth. Again, Osman tries with that uppercut. Not a bad right from Beardsley, but Osman responds immediately. And a short, sharp little left just pushed Beardsley back. Another right from Osman. Osman are two absolute crackers with Gary Logan. Won both of them over 10 rounds and 12 rounds, so he can certainly go that sort of a distance. This is scheduled for 8, remember.
Beardsley won't stop trying though. He keeps plugging forward. He's not having too much success, but he keeps chugging on. Keeps coming forward. Nice right hand from him there. Osman just turns him and ties him up. He's a good pro, Osman.
That was a good right hand. That was a good right hand. Quite a bit of bruising now on the left-hand side of Beardsley's face. That was one terrific shot, and again, not with the same venom. And for the first time, Duke, interestingly, Beardsley hangs on. That's the first time he's done that.
Yeah, he just wilted just a little bit there. He took two clubbing right hands from Osman, and like I say, he needed a little bit of a breather. But the pace of the fight's actually dropped, and that suits Osman now, where he can land the big, telling heavy punches like that.
Beardsley not really under too much pressure, although he has taken a few hard shots, especially in this round. 4 more to go, remember. Beardsley walked on to a little short left and says well done, but that was a tough round for Gary Beardsley. Well, there he is. Started his pro career way back in 1995. When he stopped on Sean Stokes in Doncaster. And out of his first dozen fights or so, he only lost a couple. But he's taken a few very hard shots, courtesy of Hussein Osman, especially in that round. There was that lovely right hand, just feinted a little bit, dropped the left shoulder, Osman, and delivered it perfectly. That was a great shot.
Yeah, caught Beardsley with a lovely little cute shot there. Short little right hand right over the top, just chops it in. Maybe Osman's a little bit worried about his inactivity that he's actually had, which is why he's not actually fighting at a ferocious pace. He just seems to be just going through the motions almost.
So Osman should be ahead at the halfway point. Beardsley has got a fair old bit to do if he's going to get the decision from referee Billy Aird, but we'll just have to wait and see.
I think Osman's winning all of the rounds with his actual power punches that he's throwing. You know, Beardsley's right there, but he's not landing anything of any real significance.
Beardsley covering up once again as Osman comes forward, just trying to nail him. Oh, good right hand by Beardsley, and Osman responds immediately with a beautifully delivered left hook.
So Gary Beardsley takes a good shot. That punch was flush. Osman loaded up with that and caught him absolutely flush on the jaw, but he's still there. I'd like to actually see Osman not go headhunting so much now. You know, maybe he should start trying to work the body a little bit, and you know, he's headhunting all the time. He's not really going up and down, trying to break Beardsley up.
More blood coming from the nose of Gary Beardsley, but nothing to worry about. Again, Osman going for that uppercut. Osman now putting on the pressure. Good footwork by Beardsley, but he's getting himself caught, and the face is now smeared with blood, and the nose is really bleeding very heavily. There's blood on the gloves of Osman, and Beardsley's face is a bit of a mess. Again, good stuff from Osman. Solid, accurate single shots going in. And Beardsley again holding on, and that's a sign that he's in a little bit of distress. Yeah, good work by Billiard. They had a good glance. That was a good right hand by Beardsley. Let's see how... Oh, shot! What an uppercut. He'd been threatening to do that. Well, he's up at 8 and he says he's okay. And I think he stopped and he said that's enough. That's a good bit of refereeing by Billiard. Beardsley said he was fine and Billiard stepped in. That was as good an uppercut as you're going to see, Duke McKenzie.
Absolutely, that was a prime shot. He'd been looking for a heavy shot all night and just gradually found it. You know, it was just a steady workman-like performance by Osman. Never took nothing out of himself. Wasn't terribly busy, but just looked to land the heavy shots and just threw a beautiful short uppercut.
Well, you did get the feeling that Beardsley was starting to suffer a little bit. Osman was catching him, and that was an absolute gem, and the grimace of pain all over the face of Gary Beardsley, who'd given it really a very, very good go for 4 rounds. He missed a little bit. His head was down. Osman read it beautifully. That was delivered absolutely brilliantly, and that was as good a punch as you're going to see. Good finish by Osman.
Well, so ends an eventful evening at the York Hall, Bethnal Green, and we all know only too well, I mean, what you're going to be writing about in your newspaper column, Steve, and Audley Harrison's performance in the ring will be just an afterthought to the events that took place after his contest. What lessons, I mean, it's very easy, I mean, here we are, you know, it's gone midnight and the clearing up operations are still going on here, but in the immediate aftermath almost, what are your thoughts about the evening tonight?
Well, several things. First of all, if a stunt, which on paper looked good, Herbie Hyde goes along, Frank Bruno go along, and they challenge Audley Harrison. The crowd loved it until it went wrong in that last 2 minutes. Perhaps what needs to happen is, if we have that type of situation again, the security just is completely around them, no one else. Plus, something happened tonight, and I'm not sure who's responsible, but there were a lot of pay-in punters inside the perimeter. The perimeter fences were introduced to keep, I know it sounds a terrible thing to say, but to keep the paying public outside. Inside the perimeter defence are the steward, the board stewards, the promoter, and the TV and the newspaper people. And then outside, and that was the problem there, John. There was not a breach of security, because it's standard policy now in all shows to have paying punters inside that fence. And that's what I think went wrong. And then, of course, once it went wrong, Herbie overreacted, the whole place went up in the air, and we've seen the results, and it's ugly as I've seen.
Indeed, well, as we alluded to earlier on, criminal prosecutions may result, or in some respects here, certainly. And how does Audley Harrison come out of all this?
Well, I think domestically, that's where I believe Audley's future lies. I think there's 3 or 4 good fights out there for him. We say Herbie Hyde, but there's Danny Williams, there's Keith Long, there's Michael Sprott. Great domestic fights. I don't think he has to bring in anyone from abroad. I think what we've got to remember as well, professional boxing is not only a sport, but it's part of the sports and entertainment industry. Domestically, there are fights out there for Audley that can do 2 things. That can give him the test that he needs, but also entertain the public. That's what it's all about.
Before this fight tonight, a lot of talk was about him going to America. Do you think that's a good idea?
Yes and no. I think he'll learn a lot from America, and he could fight probably 20, 30 guys that you've never heard of. They'll probably give him a good fight, and he will learn a lot over there. I don't think that he needs to go over there. I don't even think he needs to bring in named American opponents here. I think he should stick to the domestic scene. Some great fights for Audley Harrison. And who knows, he could be at the top of the tree, with the exception of Danny Williams, because Danny Williams is a seasoned 10, 12-round fighter. Audley's just getting used to the duration of 8 rounds. So without the exception of Danny Williams, I think he could fight anyone out there.
OK, final word to you, Steve, because Audley Harrison, I think it's probably fair to say, rightly or wrongly, is the best-known boxer in this country, and a lot of people follow Audley Harrison who don't follow the sport in general. They will look at the newspaper headlines, they will see clips on news reports on television and say, oh, boxing, what a shambles. What do you say to that?
Yeah, they will say that, John, and I think they'll be wrong, because what happened here tonight is what happens, you know, all over the country, all over Western Europe, all over the world. There was a problem, there was an altercation, there was a fight, there was a scuffle, and security came in and quelled it. It just happened to be tonight at ringside in a fight that was being screened on the BBC, involving the most popular and the most watched boxer in Britain. Not Audley Harrison's fault. and certainly not British boxing's fault. And you know what? I don't think it's the BBC's fault. I know there'll be plenty of newspaper guys trying to blame the Beeb tomorrow.
And not only that, I mean, how many boxing shows do we see throughout the year that have no trouble whatsoever? That was just, you know, that was a one-off thing, and hopefully it won't happen again. But it was just a one-off. There's that many shows that go on throughout the year in this country with absolutely no problems whatsoever.
And just in case we forget, Audley Harrison won in the second round. From all of us here at the York Hall, Bethnal Green, good night.
Want to fight?